Hey everybody, Texas Stroker here, Lance's Performance Shop, Lone Star Mopars.com. It's Friday night, it is hot. It's been a long time since I've recorded a tool haul. I guess not too long, because I did come in and made a standalone on that Flyover Ratcheting Screwdriver, which I absolutely love. The thing is a complete steal at $24, just an absurdly low price. But not straying too far that direction, we've got a bit of a heat wave here, and broke a record high that was set last year, but it was about 98 today, and for late September that's actually pretty warm for us. But I've got the door up, trying to get a breeze in here. I'm not really hungry, so I'm trying to get some stuff done. Probably gonna start doing some more stuff to the truck here in just a second. But this is a relatively small tool haul, but I think it's a pretty cool one. And the interesting thing is I can speak well regarding one of these items because I've used it extensively. That would be that item, and we're not going to talk about that just yet, but it should pique your interest. Now, in this tool haul, we exceeded the $100 threshold, so we got the KC Tool German sticker pack, and then of course we got our Bit O Thinks, which is of course a number 2 Philo at this point in time. Now, coming in, gotta find the box. This item, this stuff dates back to like August 1st, alright? So it's been a while, and I'm not sure if one or both of these was tool of the day. I believe the white box was tool of the day, so the price would be lower. It is from Wera. It is their part number 300211300-211. It's their Zyklops. You know what that means, right? Is it a ratchet? Is it a socket? Is it something else from the product line? Is it the speed ratchet I've always wanted to try out? Don't know, because the box is like the size. It could be any of those things. So I suppose what we need to do is not look at that, because that would spoil it. So get your guesses in now, and you may be disappointed, but it's bubble wrap. Now, the Czech Republic knows how to do bubble wrap, right? So it seems a little expensive at the $24 mark, but just run with me here, because it's covering something important, which is right there. That is right. This is Wera's 3/8 socket set. You can clearly see it's Wera based on the Take It Easy tool finder. But now, is it metric or is it SAE, right? You don't know, because they use similar colors. Now, if you know your tool of the days very well, you will know that it was the SAE set that they had in 3/8. This is something I'd wanted to pick up, intended to pick up, but it's one of those deals. Don't have to have it. My Craftsmen are still rocking strong. We've picked up the Tecton Deep Impact stuff that I've been using quite a bit. And this is definitely not a have-to-purchase item, right? So I can kind of play it cool, wait it out, and when you hit tool of the day, you save a substantial amount off of an already pretty fair price of $24.75. Now, there's some debate on these, if they're Czech or if they're, you know, German or Taiwan. I'm inclined to say Taiwan, based completely on the price point. Sometimes I still find listings that say Czech Republic. But I know the impacts, which I've actually used quite a bit, so we can talk about those real quick. Get some more mileage in this short tool haul video for you. These I've had zero issues with. They've been fantastic to me. I've just left them on this in the toolbox. It works quite well for me. My big thing, I think I said it when I had this, I've got a lot of impact sockets. I had no metric impact sockets, right? So this is kind of like C's heavy use. I guess now technically with that Tecton set I do. But prior to getting the Tecton set, this was all I had for metric impact. Now, my thing is, I don't mind using these standard non-impact situations, right? A lot of times I don't feel like firing up the air compressor. I don't really do the battery-powered impact stuff. If I want an impact, I'm going to go pneumatic, typically. And so I've used these a lot, just by hand. Case in point, this sucker here. Let's see. I'm not sure it's going to come through on camera that well. If it looks like there's a funky sublime green on the lip of that, there is, and that's because I've been using it on a couple of the engine stands. But let's see, the 14, the 19, and I think the 15 have all seen pretty decent use. You can kind of see, I mean, nothing crazy. To me, I have a really hard time, especially with impact sockets, spending a ton of money. These I believe we brought in as a tool of the day, or maybe when they were brand new. They've served me very well. This is actually one of my favorite things Wera has done with all their out there textile based storage options, right? It just works. Now eventually I might put these on like a cool rail or some storage rack or something, but I can tell you I have used these. I have not had any issues with them. The 19 has probably seen the most use. I also like that there's a 14 because a lot of the German tool manufacturers skip the 14. So, coming up next, stepping this down just a little bit, right? We have these. Now these are from Wera. You should know that just by looking at the colored rings, the Take It Easy tool finder. And this is their quarter drive set, SAE, of course. It runs from 3/16, which I don't think I had anything that small. That was one of the reasons justifying this pickup. But we got 3/16 through 1/2 inch. So this I've used, let's see, 7/16, pretty dirty. 1/2 inch is dirty in there. 5/16. 3/8 surprisingly not that dirty, but they're 6-point sockets. I've had these, I don't even know, I would guess probably close to a year, maybe longer than that. You know, time flies when you're getting cool tools, I suppose. But zero issues with them as well. Yes, the rail is cheap. Yes, most people don't like these rails. Yes, I actually have all my Craftsman stuff on the cheapest rails possible at the time, which were these, and they served me well. So there those are. So I didn't totally purchase these blind. I've got the quarter drive that have given me zero issues, and then I've got the impact ones, which I actually like pretty well. And now that brings us back to these. So where this set ran, again, you can kind of size it. 3/16, quarter, 5/16, 3/8, 7/16, and 1/2. Check this out. You'll see some overlap here, right? So the 3/8 set, at least in this particular case, not sure why. I was zooming out on you, and man, the bugs are bad. We had a cold spell, and then it gets back into the 90s, and everyone thinks it's time to come out and, you know, not be dead again. But right here, 5/16 down, blue back. That is not going to overlap. 3/8, 7/16, and 1/2 inch does overlap. Not that I would mind. Typically, I would say my cutoff, you know, for quarter to 3/8 drive stuff would be the 1/2 inch or the 13mm mark. I just feel like that's the size you should step up at that point in time. Don't know why, can't justify it. It's just what I feel is the right thing to do. So having some undersized ones doesn't bother me. That way we can get some extra leverage. Plus 7/16, at least going back with old school stuff. Use that a ton under the hood for electrical connections. So that one sees a ton of use. But right there again, the colors did match. And then brand new, bringing us up through the ranks, we go from 3/8, 7/16, and 1/2 to the brand new edition for the 3/8 line, 9/16, 5/8, 11/16, and 3/4. So going through the rail here, red is going to be 3/8, sort of the purple, dark, deep purple. We'll call it deep purple because that sounds cooler than dark purple. 7/16, get smoke in the water stuck in your head, you're welcome. 1/2 inch is kind of the seafoam green color. 9/16 is going to be Moulin Rouge, we'll say. We'll try to stick with high impact stuff. I don't know. 5/8 is black. I don't know. Orange might have been cool. I guess they do use it down there though. 11/16 is like a baby blue. 7/16 might actually be blue. It depends. Is it purple or is it dark blue? I don't know. It's like one of those chameleon colors. Depends, I guess, on the light and the angle that it hits it. But anyway, 11/16 we're going to call baby blue, robin's egg, whatever you want to call it. And then the big money maker there, the 3/4, is yellow. So the logical thing to do at this point in time is pick up the 1/2 inch drive set. Off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you. I would assume maybe, I don't know, 9/16, 5/8. Maybe it starts. Maybe it follows suit, the back 3, and then onward. 7/8, 15/16, 1 inch and beyond. Hopefully those are included there. Again, with 1/2 inch, I wouldn't actually mind dropping down, maybe even to 1/2 inch. You know, it seems like a logical thing to do. But that way you can crank on things, you can get leverage. If you got a breaker bar, you're set to go. But if you are diligent, if you're patient, and you wait this stuff out, you can pick all these up for, I mean, tool of the day, you're typically like 25, sometimes right over 50% off. If Wera already has a promotion, it could be even more. So when you're getting a pretty good quality socket, regardless of if it's made in Taiwan, it's held up just fine so far. But the Take It Easy tool finder, I mean, that's an added feature you're typically not going to have on some dirt cheap. There's the passing of the Geese. They do this every night, so I think it might be a bad winter, despite what people say. It just seemed early that they arrived. I don't know if you heard them or not, but if you did, you know what I'm talking about. Otherwise, I'm not crazy. You just couldn't hear the Geese. and they'll continue to fly over with the stragglers. But back on track here. 1/2 inch, I'll just patiently wait. I'll either tack it on to get free freight, Wera might put it on a quarterly promo, or we could snag it on Tool of the Day, and then we will have a complete SAE set, which again, still my most frequently used. But there we are. That is what we picked up. Again, standard price $24.75. I anticipate no issues with these. I believe they are covered under warranty. Should mention they are 6-point. Some of the highlights here, let's just go with the big bad 3/4 here. Before we wrap this one up, obviously, if you are heavily invested with Wera's ecosystem, if you're invested in their Take It Easy tool finder, this is, I believe, laser etched. That will come off over time. If they get dunked in paint, who knows what you do? It just gets eaten off by acid, I don't know. But as long as that stays, which typically doesn't see, like if this were to drop, you know, the brunt of the impact's going to be up here where the laser etching is. This is sort of protected because it's recessed. So that is a benefit, and again, it's not stamped on either side. It is a 6-point. The broaching looks really good. It's about all I can say. Again, I am not a guy that gets too worked up about sockets, I suppose. But speaking of that, before we totally do that, this is a nice transition point. This is one of my favorite ratchets of all time. Now, in 3/8, there goes a big batch of stragglers, or they made a wrong turn, the geese. But the 3/8 right here from Stahlwille, I absolutely love this thing. It is dead quiet. It's an FOD. Again, think of the aviation industry. You don't want retaining screws right here. You're going to drop them in an engine. That would be terrible. All systems shut down type of a thing. The aesthetics are good. I actually do like the handle, even though it does attract a crud ton of dust. The finish is fantastic in the matte chrome. The selector switch is low profile. It's easy to articulate. The quick release, I absolutely love quick release. Personal preference. Articulates pretty good, but I have used this a ton. The Nepros I tend to just use when I'm wrenching on the Challenger, under the hood type stuff, anywhere it's not like super dirty, because it's sort of a special ratchet, I guess. So is this one, but that one's like, they don't have any. I actually was on Nepros last night. I was going to pull the trigger on some sockets, and they're gone. The ion blue socket's totally gone, which is unfortunate, but hey, well, I guess it saved money for some German stuff, right? But this has been a fantastic ratchet. I would say out of everything you've seen me bring in, this and the 1/2 inch Hazette, the 916 HP, by far the most use. I have made a point, mainly because people have asked me what I thought of the Stahlwille Flex Head. I kind of bought that for like a birthday present. I've used that thing like 5 times, and when I have used it, it's because I actually did need the flex head. There's an instance on the dash. If you watch the Ram Revival, I think you'll see it. But this is like my bread and butter money maker for 3/8 stuff, and it has been a fantastic ratchet. So you're probably asking yourself, well, what's in this box? Stahlwille, it looks awesome. Is this just like one of their little L boxes like you bring in from Gador? My apologies if this thing looks dirty. I have used it. I've carried it back and forth all over the place. Let me make this real boring for you first. Should have had this out, but I decided not to be super cruel. You know, down where you could see maybe the part number, tons of numbers, probably screwed up if you tried to type it in, couldn't see the fine print. This tells you what it is. It is 78238368. Again, I'll have links down below. Stahlwille limited edition 1/4 inch ratcheting screwdriver and metric socket set. So you're thinking like, oh, a ratcheting screwdriver from Stahlwille with socket sets, and there must be a bit adapter. That's pretty cool. Well, let me tell you, you may not know about this being limited edition. This is technically their 2019 Advent calendar, pulled from the Advent packaging, right? And just compiled by KC Tool for your ease of use and convenience. Discounted considerably. That was kind of my deal. On the Stahlwille one, I was waiting to see if it would ever go on like a massive discount. The last time I saw it, I think it was around Easter, and then it was gone, and I was like, man, I'm an idiot. I should have picked that thing up, you know, because it did get a little cheaper. But I was kind of bummed out, in all honesty, and it wasn't long after that this arrived. So we're going to go ahead and I'll show you the case. It's actually really cool. Again, obviously, I've never had one from Stahlwille. We've got the logo there. We've got the green trim out. You've got the kind of silver printed logo there. Very robust little case. On the flip side, again, you always want to make sure that you open it with the green facing up, I guess is the best way to describe it. But when we open it up, you can see there's something we didn't talk about, but there's that ratcheting screwdriver. And you think, well, what did this thing cost? Well, currently they are still available. You can pick this thing up if you love it, if you like what you see, 120 bucks. And let's go ahead and show you the bits that come with the ratcheting screwdriver. But wait, there's more. That is right. Does this look familiar to you? I hope it does, because this is the quarter drive version of this 3/8 ratchet. I want to say it's the 435 QRN right here, if I remember my part numbers correct. That means I'm going to love this guy, right? Well, it does, and I've used the snot out of it. So for the dash work, this thing has been a godsend. It was just all easy to use. The foam tray kept everything from sloshing around. All my screwdrivers, the pliers, everything else I have is just like in this massive pile that I keep under the driver's seat or under the passenger seat or on the console. And then when I have to get under the dash, you know, when it was still in the truck, I had stuff rolling under my back. And this never bothered me because it was compact. I could shut the lid, nothing fell out. It's just a great setup for stuff like that. Obviously, you could throw this in a glove box. You could keep this in the kitchen. It's that type of a versatile tool set. But I want to stress this. One of the reasons I didn't jump on this for my first ever advent calendar is because I already had one of their quarter drive ratchets. You're thinking like, well, that's stupid, you know, that's a lot of redundancy there, buddy. You probably could have just bought the sockets and that ratcheting screwdriver and whatever. Well, here's the deal. This was, of course, a tool of the day deal, and to its credit, this is what sold me on Stahlwille's ratchets. This ratchet right here, this little quarter drive non-padded handle, is why I picked this one up, because I liked this one so well. So that meant that this was going to be the exact same ratchet plus the comfort handle, which I had had experience with and knew I would like. So it made this pretty much just a home run all across the board. And it's interesting, if you just heard that description, you would have no idea that this included the ratchet, let alone the extension. You would think it was a ratcheting screwdriver with like a quarter drive adapter and some sockets, but this is the selling point. This is the high dollar value item. And of course, we also get a really nice extension. But running through it all, one of the things I like about Stahlwille in these cases, they've got everything lined out here. That part number for this ratchet, 415 QRN. They label our extension. It is a locking extension, which is fantastic. This little thing is actually pretty good. Coming into the bits, I'm not sure how well you can see that, but let me run you through them. We got a number 1, number 2, and number 3 Phillips. That's actually going to be down here, and yes, they are Phillips and not Posi. And then with Torx, we come in and we've got a T25, a T30, a T40, and then that top row there, we're going to have an 8, a 10, a 15, and a 20. So basically T8 through T40, and then 1, 2, and 3 Phillips. If you're thinking, well, what's this deal? Well, this is the bit adapter. So obviously the bits will plug into the ratcheting screwdriver. You can also put the bits into the adapter and then use them with your ratchet. So case in point, we want to take this, drop it on. Let's actually line the ball up. And we'll come in, I'll showcase, I don't know, I guess the T40, because it would be the biggest profile for you. It's going to be tough to see this with the lighting. Let me zoom in on this thing. So if I flip her around, you can see 1420-T40. That'll get you hooked back up if you wear this one out. And I thought there was a Stahlwille on it. Right there, it is tough to see. That's why we had trouble. But I think you can make it out. This number 2 Phillips I had out earlier, it actually seemed to be a little bit easier to see. It is. You can easily see that Stahlwille logo there. It looks really good. And there is our part number. So if we want to make this into a bit ratchet, we can absolutely do that. Just take this, drop it in, and away we go. So many flies in there. The ratcheting mechanism on this thing, I absolutely love it. But the bit holder itself, some of you will like. It does hold very, very well. It's not magnetic as best I can tell. But let me kind of show you what's going on with it. You see that little retention spring in there? That's where you get your clamping or your holding force. So some people love those. Some people hate them. It's just, again, kind of personal preference coupled with past experience, hopefully. That is a terrible glare. So, one thing, this was also my first foray into Stahlwille sockets. I love the lines down here, however, they are not as pronounced as on the Wera. So that does make this a little bit slicker, if you will, than the Wera sockets. Now, coming in, the extension itself is also super cool. Again, I love matte chrome personally. It's, again, personal preference. But this is a locking extension. That is a huge selling point to me. This 8mm has had a crud ton of use. So, all the screws on the dash of the truck, almost all of them, there's a few exceptions, but I'd say the vast majority, you've got two options, number 2 Phillips or 8mm. And there's many instances where an 8mm is a far better solution depending on the access points. But with this locking, when I'm in weird positions, going down to a screw, coming up, going, from down underneath, like you do under a dash, that's when sockets fall off. They can wind up going in like sheet metal. They can get lost in some like electrical plug or spool of wire, whatever it may be under the dash. This keeps that from happening, the locking feature. Cannot say enough good things about it. I don't know that this is going to do anything for us, but let's try. Again, I can't tell you how many, and the screws are all kind of like a black finish, right? They are 12-point sockets. That might be a deterrent to some of you. Typically with sizes this small, it's not a huge issue. But this has had a ton of use, and honestly, you can't even tell. I suppose that speaks for the quality of the socket. But in terms of sizes, we go from 5, which I don't think I had a metric that small, which is kind of cool. So we got a 5, 6, 7, 8. They skip 9. You got 10, 11, 12, and 13. So the good news is we got an 11. The biggest one is a 13, which this was actually used as well. You got the two bolts that kind of hold the dash in place. A couple of other miscellaneous electrical connections, but it would be our best bet to take a look at how they brand their sockets. So the problem is, even though it's matte chrome, it's just super reflective. But right there, you can kind of make out the Stahlwille nameplate. You can see chrome alloy. They've got Germany. You can see all the ribs at the back, the Baldy tint catch. That is super fine, but it's something you can, it's almost, I guess the best way for me to describe what they do, it's like if you had a dime in your hand, all right? You've got the ribs, and like sometimes like old currency, it's like, it's real coarse feeling. This is like super fine. And if you want to tell it's there, you can. Otherwise, you could grab this and you might not even know this end from this end. It's that subtle of a detail. I do like it though. They are 12-point, but zero issues with them. Again, the 7, 8, 10, and 13 have seen, I would say, a very good amount of use for the short time I've had this thing. And once again, this has been an absolute joy to utilize. I've used the magnet once. It's actually stronger than I thought it would be. The craziest thing, though, this ratcheting screwdriver, I do believe it's made in Taiwan. I'm going to say it's probably at least twice the weight of the Ratchet, which seems crazy, but I mean, that's just how it is, I suppose. They've got the Stahlwille logo there, which is really hard to see with the lighting. And then this side is actually the part number. So that's 4008-2. Here you can go straight up, or you can go right, or you can go left. That's about all there is to it. I will say this texture that you see, it sort of looks like an aggressive steering wheel grain. That's what it feels like. It's actually really comfortable in hand despite the weight. Some people want the weight, some people don't want the weight, but we can come in. This has a magnet, all right? That's going to be how the bit is held. Let's listen. Boom, there you go. It's not going anywhere. This is straight up, so if we need to break something free, if we need to really torque down on something, we can make those happen. However, if we want to ratchet it down, we got a long screw or something crazy, we come in. I wouldn't say it's the best ratcheting screwdriver. It's certainly not the worst. It is a stubby, which makes it a little bit more versatile than a standard length. It's got a nice bit holder feature. The bits seem to be of pretty good quality. I want to say I've used the number 2 and maybe the T15 and 20, oddly enough, not the T25 as best I recall. So that said, though, this kit for the 120, when you consider you're getting this ratchet and the extension, that almost justifies the price, especially with the foam tray and the case. throw in the sockets, and I mean their sockets are not cheap. Stahlwille sockets, you're not gonna find those at the bargain basement store, right? I feel like this is well worth it. The bits, you know, it's kind of a throw-in type of a deal for the advent calendar. This, could you get something better from another brand? Probably, but it's thrown in. I can't really complain. Because again, for me, the big selling point was this, the extension, and the sockets. And that's what I've used heavily and been very, very pleased with. So right here, bundled up nicely, is this little magnetic retrieval tool. Let's go ahead. You know what? This is here. To give you an idea, I mean, this is fairly lightweight, but I mean, you would not think that this dinky little thing would be able to pick that up. And not only does it pick it up, but it does it very well. The socket's here, the one without the padded handle. So, I mean, why not try it, right? That's impressive, I have to say. Again, looking at this, you'd be like, oh, it's kind of lame. Would like a bottle opener or something, you know, whatever, another socket or two. But it's useful, and that's what it has going for it. The part number on this guy is 12600. They claim it will handle 270 grams, and this little guy right here, again, you saw it pick it up, so you get a feel for what it is capable of. Now, differences between these two, let's take a look at them, or I will anyway. We got 415 QRN. This one, I think there's another letter in the non-padded handle one with that, but you can see it's essentially the exact same ratchet minus the comfort grip. Which one would I prefer? I like these. I've used this standard style my entire life. I prefer this. I get a better grip. It doesn't slip. Granted, with quarter drive, that's not near as big of an issue as with 3/8 or half when you're really going to town. I'll let you listen to that, and we'll come in and do the same thing here. I don't know, if you have never used their ratchets and you're in need of quarter drive sockets, metric, and you really like this extension, and you also need a ratcheting screwdriver and wouldn't mind trying out a magnet retrieval tool from Germany, this is a steal. Pick it up. I do believe if this is your first experience with these, you will like this. Again, if you're not the comfort type, this is the equivalent. Again, if you wanted to, like if you're like, you know, I'm going to throw that in the car, I want this in the shop, check it out. Will it fit? Of course it does. You can easily swap those out. In fact, I may do that too, but right now I've loved having this thing because, again, super compact. I can carry it around. I take this from inside the truck, back to the workbench, to the hood of the duster, back to the tailgate, to wherever I currently have the dash, up to the grill. It's just been really, really nice to have. And again, the only thing that would make it better for me, maybe eliminate the bits and throw in like inch-size sockets, but you know, that's asking a lot, especially for an advent calendar. So 120, I feel like it's a good buy, particularly factoring in if you are familiar with how good these ratchets are. The sockets, these are 100% definitely made in Germany. So, you know, if that's important to you, if you're like, oh, get this, you know, Taiwan trash out, you know, blah, 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 and you want to have German-made sockets, well, there you go. Otherwise, you could save a ton of money getting Wera sockets, or Harbor Freight, or Tecton, or Capri, or whatever. Sockets, I do appreciate, but again, in my little lifetime, I mean, at work, it's really old Proto, SK, some Bonnie stuff is still around. They've obviously lasted a very long time, but I don't see much difference between when I use those and when I throw like the Tecton impacts on a bolt. I'm not having, you know, if something's seized, it's seized, but in just general purpose use, sockets, to me, it's kind of hard to like justify a $700 set of 12 sockets, you know. So I kind of work with what I know and what I've experienced in my own life, and this is where I'm at. But this is a advent calendar that has transitioned to a limited edition tool set, and again, I think it is well worth it. The 3/8 sockets, again, if the standard price is $24, we probably got them tool of the day for, geez, maybe $12 to $15, which is an absolute steal. I don't care if they're from Taiwan. And again, I've had great experiences with these in the past, the quarter drive and the impact set. So that's kind of where I stand. I believe that is about all I can tell you, all we can cover here. We will do dimensions real quick. I know that may be important to some of you. There's one final look. We'll latch the case. I will say that's probably the weak point, the plastic latch. That's what I say about everything that's plastic and latches. let's call that 8 1/4 wide. Let's call that just shy of 5 inches there, and then depth is actually, all right, well, the depth would be 2 inches. We had two things happen. The car timed out, and then I had some people show up unexpectedly, so anyway, I guess it was good timing for that to happen. That said, I suppose we should wrap this thing up. Now again, $120 for this limited edition, you know, advent calendar carryover type of a deal. I think it's pretty cool. As I covered in one of my What's New in German Tools videos, which I guess most of you seem to like. This year, Stahlwille is doing a 3/8 drive set. Doesn't have the super cool high quality ratchet, but I guess that keeps the cost down, right? So if you have this and you like the sockets, or it's your first experience with their sockets, that becomes a viable option. So we'll have to wait and see the pricing on that. It is not in at KC Tool yet. However, the Hazette one is. So that's a new arrival for this week. But with that said, I'm going to quit rambling. If you have used this, let me know your thoughts. In particularly, I'm interested in what you think of the sockets, how they hold up, how they compare to, say, a cheaper offering like these Wera Zyklops sockets. Do you notice a difference? Is it negligible? Have you used these for 20 years without issues? Have you used these for 2 years and had to replace them? Let us know. Again, a lot of times, if you had a terrible experience with Wera Zyklops sockets, that guy leaves a comment. The guy that has had a fantastic experience, I'm talking like 30 plus years of Stahlwille sockets with 0 issues, not near as likely to comment. So keep that in mind. But again, first-hand experience, first-hand feedback, valued greatly, and it's much appreciated there in the comment section. Again, ultimate goal to just simply help people out. That said, that is what we picked up, the Advent Calendar Limited Edition and the 3/8 Zyklops sockets. I gotta say, I think it's a pretty good pairing. And again, uniquely, we got prior experience with this kit, and I've had past experience with the quarter drive, and they're having to drive impact sockets. So sometimes we can seem knowledgeable. Well, with that said, LoneStarMopars.com is the website. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We got 10 seconds, so I gotta go, but I do hope you enjoyed. Leave a like, subscribe if you have not. Just maybe YouTube will notify you. Otherwise, I hope to see you back here next Saturday.